That's basically the whole movie. Like silence. So we just saw the zone of interest.
It's very artsy.
Basically what they did was they set up random cameras throughout the house, recording at the same time. So as they're walking around, a lot of what we saw was improvised. It wasn't really scripted. They just wanted to have like that people living their life, like whatever, in that house. And that's basically what happened. It was during like the Holocaust. Followed like the family of a German commander. Like that was in charge of like exterminating.
Well, they lived in a house
like literally right next to it.
In Auschwitz.
Yeah, so it was like a camp, a wall.
Basically, the house was like on the camp.
Yeah.
Like it's just so you know how like in elementary school, like I guess all schools, there was always like the house, like the groundskeeper that lived like on campus.
Yeah.
But it was separate from campus. Kind of like that.
If you grew up in a bad neighborhood and you hear like the loud music, the gunfire, the cholos fighting and shit like that, you learn to develop this switch in your brain where like that sound doesn't seem to exist. Like somehow you learn to fucking sleep with like loud ass music in the background,
You just don't hear it anymore.
Yeah, and like there was like a few scenes in this movie I thought was kind of interesting because like since like that their house was literally right next to a concentration camp, that's basically what the whole point of the movie is. So it's just like a family living their life, having dinner and breakfast, all the good shit. The wife is all planting a garden, just all that. But in the background, you can hear like people screaming just and like
constantly.
Like it was constant, yeah.
And gunshots.
Instead of showing you what was going on, it was more of like they left that up to your imagination. They didn't show anything. I guess like towards the middle of the movie, I'm like, at least for me, I was starting to get boring.
I think what they were showing was the reality of what it was like outside of the camp. I mean, it was like showing this family and. It was so normal for them. And then when this film was showing kind of a different perspective of it, we haven't really seen before.
Yeah. I mean,
and yes, slow, boring, very quiet. But it was like a different like perspective of it. It was like,
the movie did what it was supposed to do and made you stop and reflect. This was their life. They were planning to do a job and they were figuring out a way to do it faster. They like completely turned these people into just bad objects. And they were like, throwing them into like fucking chambers like it was just, they were paper. It was awful, Unfortunately, as we live our life, you kind of like forget about the stuff that happened. So it is good to like have a refresher, like this shit happened. Because like the thing that I think a lot of people don't really think about or they kind of forget, think, oh, the Germans evil, burning people. But this shit was legal. It was structured. That was the chain of command, people organized, people made it into a business. They got trains created. There's a lot of like thing that went into it to make this happen. And then I think a lot of people don't realize how much energy got put into that. And that right there, I think is the most fucked up thing, which is creepy, that everything they did was basically legal and organized. And I think that's one thing I guess is never really taught to you as when you're a kid, is that, this shit was done by people that were voted in. So yeah, there's a lot of shit going on currently. Maybe not to this extreme, but slowly but surely, I mean, I don't know. It's just creepy. Was it a good movie? Yes. Do I suggest it? Yeah. It's an interesting topic to see from another perspective, right? Oh, I am with this. There's two parts of the movie that really kind of got to me. Because there was a lot of gunfire going on in the background and people screaming. The kids started to play along with the sound. And there was a scene where when the grandma comes to visit, the little kid, he grabs a snare and he starts to like make the patterns of the gunshot with the snare, and he starts screaming. And like the thing is, because that sound is so common, like nobody was entering the room to stop him. Like it was annoying because they just tuned that sound out. And there was also another part where they had a little child, and the child was just screaming his ass off, and nobody got out of bed to go check on the child because it just tuned out the screaming. It's just creepy, because like that's, and yeah, it's sad. People like tune away certain things that could be happening. Not to turn political, but I mean, fuck, so much homeless is going on around us where I live, and people tend to like walk past it, and it's like, dude, shit happens around you, and people tend to turn a blind eye on the shit that happens, and it's kind of weird. But shit, look at this movie, got me all emotional. It did a good job, so in that case, I changed my opinion. I like this movie, it's good. Yeah, it did a good job. All right, I think I'm gonna stop here. Yeah, I suggest it. Bye.